What's the name of it?
It's called Shentu, Memories of Spring. This is the current book that he's funding. It's fully funded, and it's the I want to say the third. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. Book in the series.
Do you remember those halcyon days when you were so small? Just the two of us against all the world. You taught me to appreciate simple joys that I had forgotten over my countless years. We weren't perfect, of course. You had your rebellious years, and sometimes I was sure you hated me. We both made mistakes, but we did the best that we could, day by day, year by year, until before I knew it, you'd grown up. Someday you'll be gone and I'll be alone again. But I'll always cherish those memories we made. Our memories of spring.
Awesome. All right, please welcome Mr. Alan Wu to the stage.
Hello,
Hello, Alan.
everyone.
Hey, how's it
Hey,
going?
Lorenzo. Hey, Marcus.
Hola, senor.
Good to meet you guys. I've just been watching along with the stream for the last like 20 minutes or so. So it was very, very chill vibe you guys got going on. It's
That's what we're
very,
going for. Very chill, very laid back, very informal.
yeah. I couldn't follow along too well with the football talk, but
Okay.
it was I like seeing you guys just go over your polls.
Yeah, it's it's just us hanging out with a bunch of my friends every Wednesday. I love it.
All my party friends, yeah.
Oh man.
So it looks like your Kickstarter is going well. And guys, just because he hit his goal does not mean that we're not looking for more backers here. The more backers, the more that he can do. So don't let that stop you from plugging in and backing this one, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Link is in the chat.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm very excited with how well this campaign has done so far. It's my first crowdfunding campaign.
Wow.
And
Wow,
yeah,
that's impressive.
I did a lot of prep for this. Like I spent like the last 6 or 7 months basically working on this anthology and this campaign. And now there's just 5 days left in the campaign, and I do want to push for some stretch goals hopefully, because the more momentum I can get at this stage just means like the more like you said, the more I'll be able to do with both this series and my future series as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is your first Kickstarter. Then you self-published the other two,
Yeah.
Shentu #1 and #2.
Yeah, so a little, context for those who are watching. This is my series Shentu. It's
Mhm.
about an immortal rabbit woman in ancient China, and I had just released the first 2 issues of it in September. And for that release, I didn't do like a Kickstarter campaign or anything. I took some pre-orders on my Shopify store, and I did it that way because I figured, since this is kind of I'm just starting out, I thought it would be a little bit weirder, or I just didn't feel as confident doing a Kickstarter campaign without showing people that I could like physically deliver the finished products. So I wanted to build up my experience and my credibility a little bit first, and then once I did that, I thought, okay, I can do Kickstarter for this next installment and hopefully reach a bigger audience that way.
Interesting. Okay. Never thought about taking that route.
Are the previous books still available on Shopify? Is that
Yeah,
something that people
yeah.
can do?
So those are available through my Shopify, which there's a link in my website, which I believe is in the video description. But they're also available as add-ons in this current Kickstarter campaign. And yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
I had sent the first 2 issues to Lorenzo, and US USPS really pulled through and delivered them in just like 2 or 3 days.
Oh, totally, man. Absolutely. I mean, I was shocked how fast, like you overnighted them or something, but they got here so
I just did the standard
yeah.
shipping, man.
Yeah, that's very cool. I had a chance to read both of them. Man, they were so well written. The art is great too, but the way you tell the story, man, I was so immersed in it. It's such a touching story. There's it's there's humor in it, and then there are some sad parts as well. As far as being immortal, but you can tell the story about it. I just set up a little bit. Shintu is an immortal moon rabbit. Is that what she's described as? I believe.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's right.
And she's you think being immortal is a great thing, but she talks about how it becomes so lonely because you say goodbye to all your friends, and she's stopped even naming her horses, and she tries not to get close to people because she knows that she's going to outlive them. So it's a very complex story.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the core of the series is definitely just grappling with, ideas of mortality and seeing your loved ones age and pass away.
Mm,
Um, and like you said, I wanted there to be some, elements of levity in there as well, because I mean, not just because it's a comic, but when it comes to the stories that I love most, I love stories that hit the full emotional spectrum, because when you have the lighter moments and the heavier moments, they kind of amplify each other. But also for this story specifically, one of the ways I like to pitch it is I say it's about life, death, and everything in between, because it just
mm.
covers such like a large span of time. So for this, I feel like it makes or it makes even more sense that we would um kind of go through like the full like emotional spectrum, because there's just like so much time passing, so many things happening, that I want to take readers just like on like a very like broad emotional journey essentially.
Well, you definitely succeed with that. Because I love there's action sequences in the books that I read, but I really love the most is the quiet parts where she's interacting with her uh people that she run into her, the ones that she gets a little bit close to, and I don't want to spoil anything, but her eventual partner that she takes on by issue number 2. And so issue number 3, which is this is the third issue, is that correct? That's being crowdfunded now.
Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit on this Kickstarter page,
Hmm.
the third image, which looks like you can see, it kind of looks like a timeline. This explains it a bit more succinctly than I could, but um, basically, this anthology, it's kind of like a side chapter between issues 2 and 3. This is a collection of slice of life adventures in the childhood of her companion.
Oh Lord.
Go down a little, just a little bit more.
Okay.
Um, so
There it
yeah,
is.
so
Oh,
this
here
is
we go.
like my version, like because this is like my version of that page at like the back of the X-Men books, where it's like, here's the issues that are coming out next.
Hmm.
So as you can see, like we had the first 2 issues, which were the prologue. This anthology is I don't want to call it filler, but it's like you could theoretically skip it, but before going on with the main story in issue 3. But this anthology just really it like I wanted to capture like the flow and the passage of time essentially. um, so how it's structured is it's 8 separate short comics, and they're designed to stand alone and be complete stories, but they're also set in chronological order. So each story takes place in the springtime of a different year. So over the course of the book, we see Shentu's young apprentice grow from a 7-year-old into a 15-year-old by the end of the book. So this is kind of just it's about his childhood essentially.
Okay. Do you have all these already written?
No, I'm not that far ahead in terms of the full complete scripts. Like I had outlined, the entire story arc of the future issues, of course, but
Mhm.
I'm still writing issues 3 and 4 right now at the moment.
Okay. You mind if I show a little bit of the the preview here that you sent me yesterday?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've posted the first 4 pages of that publicly at least. So like that at the very least, like I don't mind showing. And actually, like if we want to just go through the whole thing, that's fine as well.
Okay.
Because I'm a pretty new writer, and like people haven't seen a lot of my work, so I think people might not feel confident just like backing, based off of just the cover art. So I also wanted to give people like a little bit of the interior pages so they can see what they're signing up for potentially.
Man, I'm curious about your artist, your colorist.
Yeah.
This looks great.
I yeah, I can talk about the art teams a little bit, but I genuinely think that I don't know how I pulled this off. It's really an amazing team of all Asian artists. Like there's some huge names on this book. So when I'm hyping up the book, like I almost like I don't feel as bad because like even though like I'm the writer, like I'm like I myself and am so impressed by the sheer art talent on the book. So that's what I
Yes.
I lean into when like you you might not have ever heard of me, but you've heard of these artists, so
Yeah.
support them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the colors are just
I
popping
know.
off this page, man. It looks great. Looks so good.
Yeah, the 2 books you sent me look very nice, but this is just bam, it's just wow, the art and the color on this is next level. This is
Yeah, it looks
really
really
nice.
good. It does not look like Kickstarter level art we're looking at,
No.
it's looking like full-blown publisher level stuff right here. It looks really good, man.
How many books have you bought from your LCS that didn't look this good?
Yeah.
Quite a few, I would say, this looks awesome.
So how did it come about? Obviously you decided you wanted to write a book. How did you, pull together your team? What was the genesis of that?
Well, I mean, the beginning of the series was one thing in itself where I had started writing Shentu as a pilot for an animated show because I do screenwriting as well. But in the last couple of years, I started moving more into the comic book space, just mostly because I like comics, and then I realized I could try and write them as well. But so I started writing the series. Just like, kind of on a whim, like, I just thought I'll try out a couple commission a page or 2 and see how it goes. And so, with the first couple issues, like, I'm still quite proud of, how they turned out, but it was definitely a learning experience for me in terms of, the format of writing comics and the process of working with artists. And, but, I felt it was a very fulfilling process, create the act of creating the first 2 issues, so I wanted to continue the series. And before I, moved ahead with issue 3, I decided to do this anthology because for one thing, I think it makes sense for the story that we would have a collection of short stories. They're like little vignettes or memories of childhood to show to show the passage of time before we move forward. But on a practical level, I really wanted to gain experience writing complete stories and in working with different artists because every artist, has a different personality and art style and collaboration style. And the first 2 issues, my artist, like he's amazing, but I like had spent the whole year basically only working with one artist, and so I thought I'm going to grow faster as a writer if I can work with just, a larger number of artists at one time. So that was how had the idea to do the anthology. And from then on, it was mostly just me going around and uh, reaching out to the very best Asian artists that I could find in, working in the Western comic book space. And a lot of them were down for this project. And so um, it just as the team came together, I was just more and more excited about what the final project was going to look like.
Who's the artist on this story?
So this one, the inks are done by Hai Ning, who is the artist for DC Spirit World series, a
Mm.
couple of the Poison Ivy issues. I think she did one of the DC versus Vampires spin-offs as well. But she is one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. Spirit World is the reason I started going into comic book shops and buying weekly comics. And she also did the covers for issues one and two. So after that, I kind of like went from there to having her do interior art for one of these comics.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
yeah, so very excited about that. And then the colors were done by my friend Alexandra. I met her uh, as part of another Asian comic book creator interview series, and I think this is her first time doing coloring for like interior pages for a comic, and she just did such a fantastic job. Like you would certainly never think it's her first time doing colors, right?
No,
Yeah.
Like I mean,
not at
like
all.
she's obviously a professional artist already, but like just this is her first time doing like this this type of work specifically. But yeah, the team up between her and Heining, just like it was such a it was it. I think it turned out so well, and so that's why I'm kind of excited to show off this story in particular.
So Heine did the inks and the pencils for this one?
Yes, inks and
Okay.
pencils.
Yeah, so that's I'm just talking about how the action scenes looked okay in the first one, but these the action right here is just totally just next level for not to overuse the term, but it looks really really great.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's amazing. I'm always in awe whenever I get anything from her.
Right.
Actually, she sent me the initial sketches for this first cover on my birthday last year. I mean, she didn't know it was my birthday, but it just kind of worked out that way, and it was like the best birthday gift I could have asked for.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, you've mentioned a focus on Asian artists. Is that because of the style and culture of your book, or what is the reason for that, the focus?
Yeah, so well, this series itself is set in ancient China, so to some extent, like when I reach out to Asian or specifically Chinese artists, like there's it's more likely that they'll understand, just like the vibe and the background and stuff like that. Like of course, I think artists don't have to be Asian to draw this type of story well, but um, I think it was just that because it's such a heavily um, it's a very Asian centric story. So the first people I reached out to for this anthology just were other Asian creatives. And once I had a few on board, I just kind of thought, it would be really cool to kind of commit at this point and put together just an all Asian artist team for this one at least. Like moving forward, I don't necessarily want to limit myself to working like with only Asian artists for this series, but because Asian artists, like I feel like they're still a little bit underrepresented in Western comics. I thought this would be a good opportunity to put together, a showcase of not just Asian culture, but also like some of the very talented Asian creators in the space as well.
They're killing it. And given that this is your first book, how did you pull in such talent? We've got an artist who's got a DC book that's not often. Usually, most people are going to Fiverr, right, and they're going to grab someone. How are you starting? Like it feels like 5 or 6 steps ahead there.
Yeah, so part of it is spending a lot of money. Like some of these artists have pretty high page rates, but
Mm.
I really tried to hit like the highest quality bar I could for this book. And the other part of it is that I tried to uh, I think part of it is that these are primarily Asian artists, so when I'm coming to them with this story concept, like there's kind of an element of like solidarity or maybe like their interests kind of align with this, like specifically like Haining is Chinese or Taiwanese, and so when I approached her initially, like I was kind of coming at her from that angle of like I'm like another Chinese American creator trying to get my start in the comic book space, and I tried to approach her just as respectfully as I could, and I mean, I didn't think she would get back to me actually. When I reached out to her for the covers, I reached out to maybe 4 or 5 different artists at that time, and she was actually like my what's the term for it? Like my reach goal. Like I thought like this is the one who isn't going to get back to me, and she was actually the only one who responded to me, which
Wow.
I thought was funny. But
Wow.
it kind of taught me the value of like shooting your shot.
Shoot
I
your shot.
I
Hell
guess
yeah.
because that was what made me realize because that was very early on like in my whole comics journey. I realized like artists are looking for work, so if it's an idea that appeals to them, then maybe it's not, or maybe even though I'm a new writer, like they might just be on board to give it a shot anyway. Um, and so yeah, because like Heining like did respond to me, I just gained more confidence in reaching out to even established artists, and if they if they didn't respond or if they're too busy, then it's that's it's not the end of the world.
Well, it appears to have paid off in spades, brothers, man. It looks so good. It's like I said, it doesn't look like a Kickstarter book. It looks like a, a DC Marvel published book. The colorist, the art, it looks amazing, man. I was when they first pulled it up, I was like, "Oh, goodness gracious." I was not ready for that.
Yeah. Wow.
Not
Yeah,
what I expected.
it's funny. I I think it's definitely like I also love just the I think it's beautiful art. But even when I was showing the first issues to some people, or like I went into my local comic book store and I said started giving the owner the pitch of like, hey, I'm like an indie comic book writer. Like, would you want to like take on a couple issues? And I feel like there was such like trepidation like in him at first before I pulled it out, because like I guess like when you hear indie comic, like you just like don't know like what you're
Yeah,
in store
there's
for
a lot of
necessarily.
there's a
Yeah.
wide range you can get right from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But once I showed him the cover of this first book, he was like, oh, okay. And then like he just like he was like just like I feel like he like relaxed a little bit, that he wasn't like wasn't gonna have to be like polite about like some comic that I'd hand drawn myself or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure he
Now
gets a lot.
you had mentioned that it was based in ancient China. Are you weaving any actual history, or is it just that's the base where you put it?
So I'm going to draw from different historical and and mythological events as well throughout the course of the series.
Very cool.
It's not the type that's based in like a very specific period of time for this, because because it's a comic, and I wanted to like to me, it's more important to convey like the general vibe of ancient China, and like mix and match some elements as necessary, rather than focusing on historical accuracy. Because I think the very grounded, accurate stories are really cool and impressive too. But I'm kind of starting out from the perspective like I already have an immortal rabbit woman, so like to some extent realism is like a little bit out the window already.
Well, when I asked the question, though, I mean, I'm thinking Romance of the Three Kingdoms, where a rabbit, an immortal rabbit woman seems like maybe, we got sleeping dragon. You have these kind of mythical kind of beings who
Yeah,
seem to have
I
superpowers.
love romance of the Three Kingdoms. So when it comes to that, like I probably won't use like actual characters, but I may draw heavily from them as inspirations.
Yeah, I played a lot of those games as a kid,
The the,
so
the
I'm a
dynasty
fan.
the Dynasty
No,
Warriors games,
no,
right? Like yeah, I love those.
no, not the actual Romance of the Three
Oh,
Kingdoms.
oh.
So
Oh.
where it's very much a nerdy. It's a super nerd. Like Dynasty Warriors is more of a cool,
Yeah,
action
that's
packed game.
maximum like popcorn
Yeah.
game.
No, I played the super nerdy Romance of the Three Kingdoms games where you're looking at a map and stuff and trying to take out Cao, that type of stuff. Yeah, I loved it though. So much fun. I love the history and the lore of romance. My favorite is probably Zhao Yun, but there's so many Zhang Fei, like so many great characters in that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I like the idea of this being set in that time, even if it's not specifically tied to anything. Still, just being in that time because it's such a fantastical kind of time. So that sounds really cool.
Yeah, and one aspect of this series that's gonna turn a little bit more like in the direction of Romance of the Three Kingdoms is that one of the major characters of this series is going to be the child emperor of China, and he's going to be introduced in issue 3, and he'll be a major character throughout the series. So once he shows up, like I think like we're going to get like a lot more of like like the warring empires, like political intrigue aspect of things, and so yeah, I'm excited for people to see more of that as well.
That sounds super cool. I
Oh,
like that.
please forgive my ignorance, but are rabbits, are moon rabbits actual a thing in Chinese mythology, or did you create that yourself?
They're they exist in the mythology. They're usually not the focal character. One of the myths that is kind of the genesis for this story is the legend of Chang'e, the moon goddess, who she is a character in issue 1, as you probably saw.
Right.
So the myth generally revolves around her, and in most versions of the myth, she basically flies up to the moon and then she has rabbit helpers. And depending on the version of the myth, they either help her make candy or medicine, and they're like her little rabbit helpers on the moon. And so
Mm.
I kind of took that concept and turned one of those into the main character, and I built the story around her.
Oh, awesome.
I
You
think the main character looks really cool. I love her little bunny ears, man. It's
I
dope
know.
looking, man.
Yeah,
I like it.
when I like, I think it was Namin who recommended that I reach out to you, Lorenzo, and
Yeah,
I
That's
yeah.
wa-
the homie.
and
Shout out
I
Nami.
came and looked at your channel and I saw you had this rabbit
Yeah.
avatar kind of, and I thought like, oh, like I like we have that like in
I
common
do.
kind of.
I
So
know
yeah,
you love
bunny
rabbits
power.
in real life, right? 'Cause I
I
saw, yeah.
I love rabbits. I literally look at these three comics I just have on my desk right now. So one of them is Shentu, of course. I have
Okay.
this Zatanna cover of
I'm just trying
um
to get you in here. I've lost everyone. Okay, here you go. Wait,
yeah,
no,
this
no.
variant cover of the recent Zatanna series.
Oh, I
I
love Thomas, yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
know. I
great
bet
series.
Janet's loving it too.
And I really like rabbits and also like kind of like the old timey circus carnival aesthetic. So this is just like one of my favorite covers ever, basically. And then I also have the first the first
Captain
issue
Parrot?
of Captain Carrot
Oh,
and
man.
his zoo crew. So yeah, just I love my rabbits and my rabbits in comics.
That's awesome. Wow.
That
Well,
is that is very cool.
my rabbit is cuter than yours, but yours is definitely sexier than mine, so I'm that's good
I don't
stuff.
know. She's pretty cute. I don't know, Lorenzo. She's pretty
Yours
Yeah,
is a
cute.
cute rabbit.
the thing is, like, we have so many different art styles in this anthology, So some of them she looks cuter and some of them she looks a little bit sexier. So
Yeah,
we've got some variety.
She can have it if she wants it.
absolutely.
Very cool. That is awesome. I love it, man.
Me too, man. Oh, that is just gorgeous. Wow. So, there it is, folks. Man, Shentu Memories of Spring. How many more days left on the Kickstarter? Uh,
There's
5 days.
5 days left, I believe. It
okay.
ends on Tuesday,
Okay.
Tuesday in the morning. So yeah, a few days left. If anyone wants to check it out, certainly I would very much appreciate your support in the series. this is like truly my passion project. And I think Shentu as a concept has a lot of potential to grow as a series because it's this she's literally immortal, and
Yeah.
so in my mind, like she's gonna have many more adventures over the years, not just in ancient China, but potentially even exploring different time periods and civilizations. She's just going to be like the one like constant in this world moving forward in time, making making friends and companions and having to move on past them. And
Mhm.
there's a lot I want to do with this character in the series, and every bit of momentum I can get at this stage would help a lot with that.
Yeah. Her enemy, Kang, it seems he's not immortal, but it seems like there's a descendant that she runs into throughout her travels. There's always a Kang to meet her and just be the bad guy. Is that going to be like a recurring character?
Yeah, so not an element. It's not an element that's going to be around forever. But
Mhm.
for like this first arc, at least, I thought it was kind of a fun way to have like a somewhat recurring element because it's like even though his descendants are like they're different people, but because it's this one family line that is like her antagonist, it's like you have that element of like consistency and it's just like one like consistent story arc kind of where even though so much time is passing that she has to have different villains, like they have that unifying factor.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, there's the link in the chat, and I'm going to put it in post in the description below.
We've also
And
got alanyorkwu.com, another place that you can go and
that's
check
right.
his actual page out. And before we let him go, I am curious. You mentioned board games. What's your number one board game?
It is code names. Have you guys ever played that one? It's like it's more of it's very tile based, so it's like not like a more it's not one of the more traditional board games. It's like a word game essentially, but I absolutely love it, and I try to make my friends play it with me as much as possible.
I have
Code name.
never heard of it, but it looks
So
cool.
how it works is that you have this spread of words, and you want to get your team to guess the correct words based on a one word clue. And it's very tricky because you want to give a word that will get them to guess as many of the correct words as possible without guessing the wrong ones. Um, it's a little bit complicated to explain, but like when you're playing it, it's quite straightforward.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it looks like a game I would love. Actually, I
I,
like
I
this.
recommend I recommend checking it out, and you can find it in like most stores actually. Like if you just go into like a random Barnes and Noble or Walmart or whatever, like most stores have it.
Cool.
Very cool.
What
Man.
Awesome.
is
Love it.
what's your favorite?
Right now, I'm playing a lot of Settlers of Catan. Is
Oh,
my
that's
game
that's
I've been playing
that's the
on.
classic. The
Yeah,
classic.
I've been playing. I play it on my PlayStation 5 a lot. We play with the friends and yell at each other and argue. I love that kind of stuff. Another one I love is obviously Risk. But I like it. I like games where we get mad at each other and yell at each other. Those are my kind of games.
Man, I'm so old. I don't have any recent games. Last time Janet and I played a game when the lights were out, the blackout. We played Battleship. I haven't played anything other than that recently.
Suck my battleship.
I know,
Yeah,
right? It
classic.
was kind of fun. All right, well, man, thanks for coming by, Alan. I sure appreciate it. And the Kickstarter is still available. Shentu Memories of Spring. Check it out and support it and help this man. He's doing a great job. This is man. I think you
Oh,
created the franchise here.
Yeah,
into a just real quick stretch goals. Was there any specific stretch goal that you really like to see
Mm,
and
yeah,
that you want to promote?
yeah. So I tried to keep my stretch goals like relatively simple because again, it's my first campaign and I didn't want to go too crazy. We just hit the first one at $6,000, which is a bookmark that will be included in with all the physical rewards. 7,000 and 8,000, I'm going to be creating Chinese translations of the stories, or I'm going to be, working with my family to create those. I think those probably won't be like relevant to everyone, but it's something I wanted to do, so I just put those in there as the stretch goals. So hopefully I'll be able to, share it with some people who only read Chinese as well. $9,000 is it's going to be just an additional art page in the book, just like a montage scene. And 10,000, which is the the current like capstone one, is going to be producing a voiced version of one of the comics. So in the trailer that we watched, Shentu was voiced by my friend who's a professional voice actress, Kimberly Wong,
Oh,
and
okay.
she did such a great job of voicing Shentu,
She
and
did.
so I'm thinking, if we can get to the 10,000 mark, then I'd like to try and make like a just like a version of one of the comics with like voiceover and music and everything, and make it almost like a just a whole produced experience.
Oh, that
So
sounds
that's
good.
the big goal I'm aiming for.
Wow. That's that sounds great. Wow. Well, good luck to you then, man. This can't wait to see what happens with this. This is a great franchise, and thanks for sending me these books. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed.
I
Yeah,
have a feeling we're gonna see much more of this. Very cool, man.
Absolutely.
I love it.
yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. Like it's such a it's pretty difficult doing all this crowdfunding stuff, but having that chance and opportunity to talk to you guys about it, and it's been a real pleasure.
And thank you. And the pleasure's all ours. All right. All right. Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Adam.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, links in the chat. Get plugged in. Don't miss out. 5 days left.
For sure. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.